This is the new Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, which surprisingly is one of the best crossover SUVs we've driven this year. Receiving a mid-cycle facelift last year, the RAV4's shift towards being a hybrid electric SUV has given it more than just a unique selling point. Instead, the RAV4 Hybrid now masterfully blends performance as well as outstanding fuel efficiency combined with good looks. So for this model here, Toyota has given the RAV4 a very mild facelift. So as you're gonna notice, it's given a new set of LED headlights with LED daytime runlights, which are now more prominent, I think, compared to the pre-facelift model. So you also have a slightly redesigned front bumper, ever so slightly naman, because it still looks very similar from the pre-facelift RAV4. You also have LED fog lights up front, and then this hexagonal grille is still the same as the pre-facelift model. What's new, however, is yung kanang badge, because this is now a hybrid model. So as with every Toyota and Lexus hybrid car, you get a blue tinted Toyota or Lexus badge. Down the sides, you have this very angular roofline. So as opposed to some of its competitors, which are very car-like, the Toyota RAV4 has a more angular aesthetic, which are complemented by these thick body cladding, which gives again the Toyota RAV4 a much more rugged appearance. You also get new 18-inch alloy wheels in the case of this LTD variant, which is actually very handsome compared to the pre-facelift's 18-inch wheels, though the XLE still gets smaller 17-inch wheels, which are the same pa rin from the pre-facelift model. Down here sa kanang rear end, it still gets the same LED tail lights, the same trunk, the same rear bumper, so that's actually unchanged basically from the pre-facelift RAV4. So as a whole, the changes are actually very minor, but they're very much welcome because it gives the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid a much more rugged, sportier appearance, I think, in my opinion, and it's a good time to talk about the interior of the new Toyota RAV4. Uy! Ano nagawa nyo?
Sabay po.
Ganda pa kayo nandito sa kotse?
Papalamig lang.
Kumbira. Dahil dyan, anong tingin niya sa interior ng RAV4? So now that you're here, mas nauna pa kayo sa akin, tingnan yung interior ng kotse nito.
Para sa akin, napakaluwag dito sa likod in terms of sa likod. Ang luwag niya, napaka-spacious niya dito sa likod.
Actually, gusto kong RAV4 even in the pre-facelift pa lang in terms of space, ang luwag niya compared to like the Mazda CX-5 for example, since it has a long hood, parang they've designed the car first with the driver in mind compared to sa likod. But in the RAV4, luwag sa likod din. No? Like, I already tried sitting at the back of the RAV4 and ang sobrang luwag talaga niya. Like it's even better I think than the Honda CR-V. So, kumusta ka dyan sa harap mo naman? No? Sa space dyan, Tommy?
Sakto lang yung legroom ko dito.
In terms of interior quality, ang ganda ng ano niya, ang luxurious ng premium feel no kanang leatherette dash and door trims eh, no?
Hindi siya plastic.
Hindi siya plastic, yeah. Oo. On top of the dash, it's soft plastic na. So, still, it's a very premium interior. I still think the Mazda CX-5 is the benchmark pa rin in the segment kasi that has Napa leather and real wood, as a matter of fact, pa nga sa trims niya. But it's not too bad, and I also like itong knobs niya, yung rubberized knobs niya. Knowing me and my relationship with having the climate sa touchscreen, ay ayaw ko yun. So I love Toyota pa rin for having hard buttons sa aircon niya. And you also have a digital gauge cluster sa harap ng driver, which is 7 inches, and then you can customize it to your heart's content. Though, okay, not as customizable as yung mga nasa luxury cars. Syempre, that's what you expect naman. And then, and of course,
yung roof niya, napaka-aesthetic.
Aesthetic. That's a good time for me to bring the infotainment system to topic ngayon. So, you have a 7-inch touch. Yun nga lang, the Corolla Cross has an 8-inch screen. Ewan ko ba't pagdating sa RAV4 naging 7 inches lang siya. So as a result, ang laki ng bezels mo, no? It's like a CRT television. It's like one of those 1990s sa TV pa, no? But at least on the upside, may hard buttons ka. Ayun nga, so the infotainment system works really well. The menu structure is medyo outdated na nga lang yung graphics niya compared to, let's say, what you could get in the Honda or... Ayun, at least in terms of functionality, the RAV4 scores really high marks for us. In terms of space, it's also the same case. Ang luwag ng space niya. And in terms of the materials, though, yun nga, CX-5 pa rin ang benchmark sa amin, but it's not too far away from the CX-5 yung interior ng Toyota RAV4. You have this leaded stuff kasi, so there's that. Other features that you get with the Toyota RAV4 include wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless charging, heated front seats, along with the hands-free powered tailgate that reveals a 580-liter trunk. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 100 liters more than the Mazda CX-5. Of course, as mentioned kanina, the RAV4 is now solely available as a hybrid, and that combines a 2.5-liter dynamic force gasoline engine with an electric motor. The hybrid drivetrain has a total system output of 221 horsepower and 221 Nm of torque. And of course, being a hybrid, it delivers outstanding fuel economy as you're gonna see later. So now that we've hit the road with the new Toyota RAV4, and what should you expect with this crossover SUV? So it's not totally wrong to say that it feels like a Toyota Camry. So there's that degree of refinement, there's that degree of stability with this car. Yun nga lang, whereas I found the Toyota Camry to be surprisingly sporty actually and grippy through the corners, this rolls much more, no, when you go through corners, when you push the car sa corner. So it's not dramatic naman. I mean, sakto lang. It's what you would expect in a car like this. And then the suspension is on the comfort side, just like the Camry. So it deals excellently with bumps. It feels composed. It rides really well. And nga lang, because this car is more top-heavy compared to the Toyota Camry, yun nga, it feels more soft nga sa kanyang suspension. So it rolls a bit more to the corners. The steering as well is more comfort-oriented, ko sabihin natin. No? So, for me, sa Camry, there's a bit of sharpness to it. This one feels precise, pero not exactly parang makes the car feel agile. So, it's sakto lang sa katawan niya. It's okay lang. It's a comfort-oriented SUV. So, don't expect this to be as fun as the Mazda CX-5 or have, as a matter of fact, the degree of sharpness or of even a Subaru Forester, no? As mentioned, this now uses a 2.5-liter hybrid powertrain, the same lang din as what you would find in Toyota Camry, no? So, with that in mind, expect a lot of pulling power from this engine and a responsive CVT. So, yun nga, okay, it's a CVT pa rin, which means when you put your foot down, it's really gonna drone the engine, no? So, yeah, it holds the revs. But for me, okay lang siya kasi what you get in return is a very responsive powertrain, no? So it responds eagerly, sobrang minimal lag, as in minsan pa nga it feels more responsive than your typical automatic na na torque converter automatic, because of yun nga, because the electric motors are sumasalo nga nung mga deficiencies of the combustion engine. And then with that in mind as well, the engine alone makes a lot of power, and also the electric motor. So there's never a shortage in overtaking power. It always feels responsive, instantaneous. It's a really good, fast SUV. But of course, buying a hybrid, what you expect is, yun nga, great fuel economy. And with this Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, it delivers excellently. So I've been doing 18 kilometers per liter. Just like the Toyota Camry, actually, they're the same lang in terms of fuel economy. Which, again, as I've reviewed that Nissan Kicks e-Power, yeah, this is a bigger car, a significantly bigger car than the Kicks e-Power, but they post the same fuel economy figure. So that's basically Toyota's more than 20-year expertise with hybrids at this point, no? So you really can't go wrong with that. Then lastly, as for the brakes and the refinement as well, so yun nga, the ride is really good. Road noise is, compared to the Camry, mas may road noise itong RAV4, but not too bad. It's okay naman. It's not terrible. And then the brakes, of course, in every electrified car, the brakes tend to feel yung parang may spongy initial bite siya because that's a regenerative braking. But yun lang, it's not a complaint. It's more of an observation and something that you're gonna get used to eventually as you drive an electrified car, especially if it's a Toyota or a Lexus. And then out here sa highway, the Toyota RAV4 excels even more as a long-distance cruiser. So the stability is really good. It's really comfortable in terms of the suspension tuning. Yun nga, as mentioned, there's a bit more road and wind noise, especially wind noise compared to the Toyota Camry, given na syempre mas boxy yung katawan niya compared sa Camry. And yung orientation, of course, ng Camry is like this pseudo executive car na parang, let's say, a budget Lexus ES, no? So there's also that orientation for the Camry. And then, apart from that, you also have the hybrid powertrain itself being refined, kasi the powertrain tries its best to drive in pure electric mode, no? So There's good power independently pa lang from the electric motor, so it's enough to sustain the momentum of this Toyota RAV4 Hybrid even at high speeds, no? So as a result of that, even at the highway, maganda pa rin ang fuel economy niyan. Though not as good as when it's in the city kung saan puro gapang ka lang and therefore mas gamit yung electric motors, no? And din nga, RAV4 Hybrid is really comfortable on long drives. The suspension is even better, especially in terms of dealing with bumps. Mas maganda yung bump absorption niya at high speeds. At the same time, as mentioned kanina nga, na this hybrid powertrain has a lot of horsepower on top. So, in terms of horsepower, medyo malapit siya sa Mazda CX-5 Turbo actually. But what this has over the CX-5 sa totoo lang, pansin ko lang is, yes, responsive din yung CX-5. Pero I find the overtaking power to be more instantaneous here. So Toyota RAV4 Hybrid kasi nga, you have the electric motors basically catching the deficiencies of the engine and the transmission so it feels more instant. Just like the Toyota Camry, like put your foot down, it's really gonna blast off agad for overtaking. Yun nga lang, when you do that, the CVT holds the revs and basically it's gonna drone the cabin with engine noise. So why would you pick this over an equivalently priced Toyota Fortuner? Well, body-on-frame SUVs or truck-based SUVs will never be as good as car-based SUVs like the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid in terms of handling, refinement, and comfort. I guess except for the Ford Everest, because that's really a game-changer nga sa PPV segment. And if you wanna watch a review of that SUV, just have to click the link here. And then, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, yun nga, it's basically parang this more luxurious, more refined alternative to a Toyota Fortuner. Nga lang, you don't get 7 seats or the ruggedness of a truck-based platform. But then, if you don't need that, you're gonna be perfectly fine with the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. And as a matter of fact, you're gonna enjoy pa nga the RAV4 Hybrid more in its on-road experience compared to the Toyota Fortuner. Pricing for the Toyota RAV4 starts at a little over 2.2 million pesos, which gets the base XLE variant. This variant gets you stuff like LED headlights, 17-inch wheels, a powered tailgate, a fabric interior, analog gauges, a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the full Toyota Safety Sense suite of advanced driver assistance tech, which includes front automatic emergency braking, full speed adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and automatic high beams. Spend a little more than 2.6 million pesos and you could get this LTD variant that we're testing. And this gets you 18-inch wheels, a panoramic sunroof, leather interior, power adjustable driver's seat, wireless charging, a foot sensor for the powered tailgate, a 360-degree camera system, along with the addition of blind spot warning and rear cross traffic alert. So, the Toyota RAV4 is now better than ever, thanks to its very powerful, yet extremely fuel-efficient hybrid powertrain. The Mazda CX-5 is usually our benchmark, and for the most part, it still is. And yes, while the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid isn't as fun as the CX-5 in the corners, it does the rest of what you expect in a crossover SUV extremely well. As of the moment, the RAV4 Hybrid is now the most expensive in its segment, and that's why for the most part, we'd stick to the base XLE variant, because with the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, no other crossover SUV blends performance, but at the same time, offering even better fuel economy than the Nissan Kicks e-Power. And that's despite the fact that this is a bigger car.